Have you ever wondered how interest rates are determined in financial markets? Well, if you have, you've come to the right place, as today we will answer that question while we explore the loanable funds model. The loanable funds model is actually a pretty easy concept to understand, provided we interpret it under the assumption that the economy has only one financial market. So under this assumption, the loanable funds model is simply where supply of money meets demand for borrowing money. The supply of money is the extra money people save and is lent out. This can be direct, like buying stocks or bonds, or indirect, like depositing money at the bank. The demand of borrowing money, on the other hand, is represented by the borrowing of money for investments, mainly by businesses or governments. Alright, now let's circle back to the question we started with. How are interest rates actually determined? Well, interest rates are basically the price of borrowing money, and like any price, they're set by the intersection of supply and demand. They fluctuate because, like in any other model, demand and supply are affected by numerous factors. For example, if people save more, there's more money available to be lent out. Supply shifts right, so interest rates drop, as shown by the first graph. But if businesses and governments start borrowing more, demand goes up, shifting right, and that pushes interest rates higher, presented by graph 2. Let's now take a look at how these changes happen in the real world. In 2020, in the US, the Federal Reserve had to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. When the pandemic hit, businesses shut down, people lost jobs, and uncertainty was at an all-time high. The supply of money shot up as people and businesses weren't spending as much, so they saved more. So more supply, interest rates should drop. The demand for borrowing also tanked as businesses weren't expanding and people weren't taking out loans. So less demands, rates should drop even more. However, at the same time, the government started borrowing massive amounts of money to fund stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, and relief programs, which would normally massively push interest rates up since demand for loanable funds increased heavily. But that's not what happened because the Fed stepped in and slashed interest rates to near zero to keep the economy from collapsing. This goes to show that at the end of the day, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to determining the price of interest rates. It's all about the balance between saving, borrowing, and government intervention. To wrap it up, the loanable funds model is a simple way to understand how interest rates are determined. It's based on the idea that the supply of money comes from savings and the demand for money comes from borrowing. The interest rate is determined at the equilibrium point where the supply of loanable funds meets the demand for borrowing. Thanks for watching. Until next time.